God bless you and thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight's episode of the Girl Talk Sunday podcast is dedicated to the memory of my favorite auntie, Sandra Maria Thomas. I am her namesake. And it was through her journey through drug addiction that I finally learned how to love well from a distance. Thank you, Auntie. I love you. Rest in peace.
She worth it. 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 Worth it.
I'm going to do my intro one more time because I think I was muted. But tonight's episode of the Girl Talk Sunday podcast is dedicated to my favorite auntie, Sandra Maria Thomas, better known as Auntie BB. It was through her journey through drug addiction that I learned how to love well from a distance. And that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about why sometimes it is necessary to learn how to love people from a distance, for your mental health reasons, sometimes even for physical health reasons. It's not always possible to give that love up close. Sometimes you got to do it from the balcony to preserve your own peace and to be a better friend or a better family member to that person. And so we're going to be talking about that tonight with someone that I deeply admire, deeply respect. And when I put out the call for guests for this particular topic, she put a little heart in the comment on my post. And I was like, yes, Dr. Patty, I think she wants to come on and talk about it. I can't think of anybody else that I would want to talk to or talk with about this particular topic. And when I tell you she got the goods, Dr. Patty has the goods, and I want to introduce her properly. So I want you, because I want y'all to know who she is. But before I do that, I want to make sure y'all see my power to the people earrings. Aren't these cute? I bought these a few years ago at a Black History Month event that I went to, and I was looking around in my jewelry earlier, trying to decide what I was going to wear. And I said, let me wear my power to the people earrings. If you would like to get your own pair, you can find them on Instagram. The name of the shop is the Tab Boutique. And I can't promise that she still has these because it was a few years ago when I bought them from her, but you can check her out on Instagram. All right, let's get down to business. I want to tell you who is here with us today. Dr. Patricia Lott, affectionately known as Dr. Patty, is a doctor of clinical counseling psychology, international best-selling author, and the owner of Step of Faith Counseling Center, LLC. With over 17 years of private practice experience, she is deeply committed to helping individuals and families navigate emotional healing, healthy boundaries, and personal growth. In addition to her clinical work, Dr. Patty serves faithfully as the First Lady of Cornerstone Community Outreach Ministries in Tacoma, Washington, alongside her husband of 46 years, Pastor Wayne Lott Sr. Known for her compassionate, faith-informed approach, Dr. Patty has a unique ability to translate complex psychological concepts into practical, relatable tools for everyday life, empowering people to pursue emotional wellness, peace, wholeness, both personally and relationally. And I said all of that to say Dr. Patty is about as down to earth as you're going to get. I don't know nobody else more down to earth than Dr. Patricia Lott. And you would think with her title and all of her credentials and all of her education and all of the work that she has done that she'd be a little like, ooh, but she's not, ooh. You can just walk up to her and talk to her, and she just is like, hey, what's up? And that's one of the reasons why I love her. And that's why I know that you're going to love her too. I want to look in the chat because listen, when I tell you Cornerstone was excited to know that Dr. Patty was coming on this show, they're going to be showing up here in droves. I'm telling you, Tasha May is already here. Yes, I can't wait for us to have this conversation. So, without further ado, I want to bring to you Dr. Patricia Lott. Here she comes.
Hey, how you
She
doing?
is. Yes. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Dr. Patty.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so used to calling you Dr. Lott. I'm not used to calling you Dr. Patty.
Well, now you have to go by the brand.
Yes, I got to go by the brand. Thank you again for being here with us tonight. In my intro, I talked about my Auntie BB. And Auntie was part of that group of people that got addicted to crack in the
Mm.
80s, late 70s, early 80s, and all through the 80s, and just never was able to break the addiction. And I remember about 6 months before she died, things had gotten really bad. I was the last family member that would even try to help her. Everybody else had thrown up their hands and were like, you know what, we're done. We're not helping. And I just remember my sister Lisa and I would be out in the middle of the night trying to find Auntie BB, driving around downtown Tacoma like we was crazy, looking for Auntie. And we would find her at the shelter, standing in line, waiting to go in. And we would have water for her and food for her and clothes for her. And we did everything that we could to try to help her. And I remember about 6 months before she passed away, I was kind of at my wits' end because so much had been happening. And so I went and I had a conversation with my really good friend and mentor, Jean Watley. And I said to her, Jean, what can I do to help Auntie? What can I do? And she looked me in the eyes and she said, the best thing that you can do to help Auntie is to stop helping Auntie. That's what she said to me. Stop helping is the best thing that you can do as far as help is concerned. And I said, but she said, stop. Auntie needs to have her own encounter with God, and you are in the way. And maybe 5 months later, she called me out of the blue and she said, can I go to church with you? I said, yes, of course. Of course you can go. I hadn't heard from her in 5 months. And she called me and asked me, could she go to church with me? I said, yes. And she came to church with me. And that Sunday, Dr. Patty, she gave her life to God. And a month later, she was gone. So had I not heeded the advice of my mentor and my friend, I could have impeded that whole process that needed to happen. And I think sometimes that's what we do when we don't understand the importance of learning how to love from a distance. Can you talk to us about that?
Well, I love that we're starting there because now you make me go to my 7 years of addiction medicine, right?
Yes. Yes.
But um, a lot of times we enable instead of helping.
Mhm.
And did you know that the same definition for addict is the same definition for codependent? And yes, it's the same exact definition.
Mhm.
And a lot of times when we try to help the person that is struggling, that becomes a codependent relationship. I'm
Mhm.
dependent on helping you, and you're
Mhm.
dependent on your drug. And we enable. And as long as we enable, get this, we not only interfere with their healing
Mhm.
from their addiction, but we interfere with God's process to bring
Yeah.
deliverance. And
Yeah.
so it's hard, but it's one of those things that you have to do. You have to take your hands off
Mhm.
and let God do what he has to do. Because
Yeah.
without his intervention, the person will never lose enough to
Mhm.
say, hey, I need to come to myself and I need to get off of all of this. And so a lot of times when we think we're helping, we're really hurting because it doesn't look the
Mm-hmm.
same way. We
Mm-hmm.
think we're
Yeah,
helping,
I
but
thought I was helping.
we don't have an addict brain, so we don't understand what's going on. And you're just
Mm-hmm.
feeding and making it
Mm-hmm.
easier to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so tough
Mm-hmm.
love hurts and tough love is hard, but tough love is what's
Ooh.
needed if we're going to break that cycle of addiction.
Tough love hurts. Oh, it hurt me not to answer her calls. It hurt me to call the police when she would come to my house. I would have to call them and have them come and get her. But God, I'm telling you, Dr. Patty, I believe this with all of my heart. That day that she called me, just I hadn't heard from her in 5 months. And I knew it was her calling me. I answered the phone. Now, before then, I had stopped answering her calls. But that day, I answered the phone. And that was the day she asked me, could she go to church with me? So God's hand was all in this, but I couldn't see it until I stepped away from it. And I think that's where my friend's advice really did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes in my other hat, the first lady
Mhm.
hat, the evangelist, the
Mhm.
speaker hat, I use the scripture because it was used in my past, but there's a verse we don't like to talk about when it says, when one just will not come into what we're
Mhm.
trying to do. It said, turn such a one over to Satan for the
Mm.
destruction of the body, yet the saving of the soul. And when
Woo.
you really look at that verse, what it's saying is that sometimes you have to let them get deep enough. You
Yeah.
have to let them get hard enough that the soul cries out. And
Mhm.
when the soul cries out, the body's going to come in line and do what needs to be done. And we think that's harsh, but even in scripture, it shows us it comes a time where you have to just step away and you have to let it take its course so
Mhm.
that healing and deliverance can actually come.
Mhm.
But we
What
want to
is it?
control. Go ahead.
That's. I think you're about to answer my question. What is it about us, the helpers, that can't see on our own that what we're really doing is enabling? What is it about us?
You know, some of that is just arrogance, and we don't want to say it. And
Mhm.
some of it is low key narcissism.
Ooh.
It's saying that I am the one that can make the difference in your life.
Ooh.
I can do it. Nobody
Mhm.
else can do it. Everybody else turned their back on you, but me, I'm the one that can do it.
Mhm.
That's arrogant, right? We don't want to
Ooh.
call it arrogance, but it
Mhm.
is. When you put yourself in the place that you believe
Mhm.
you can do what only in the psychology profession, in addiction medicine, when
Mhm.
you feel that you can do what the professionals cannot do,
Mhm.
and when you feel like you can do what God is not doing, that's arrogance and that's narcissism. And that's what keeps us going. But we don't want to call it that because that doesn't sound nice when we're children of the Lord, right?
Yeah.
To say I'm a
Right.
narcissist or I'm arrogant. But we are, because
Yeah.
somehow we think that our prayers mean more than everybody else. And
Mhm.
what we can do
Mhm.
is what everybody else can't do. And so it's just a control thing. I want to control this and I want to
Yeah.
control the when and I want to control the how and I want to control the way in which this comes about. But we can't. And so then know what happens? We get unhealthy trying
Mhm.
to help them get healthy. And
Yes.
now we have another problem.
Oh, you just all in my business already. We ain't even been here 10 minutes. And that's exactly right. I had my whole spiel. This is my daddy's baby sister. And I promised him on his deathbed that I would make sure she was okay. So it doesn't matter if I have to be downtown in Tacoma, driving around, dragging my sister along with me to find Auntie Bibi. We gonna go find Auntie Bibi so we can feed Auntie Bibi.
And did you
Yeah.
notice that when you
Yeah.
stepped away and when you
Mm-hmm.
took your hands off, now I'm going to bring you the
Mm-hmm.
word again, in the fullness of time,
Yes.
God,
Yes.
right? You don't have to bring them. He goes and finds them.
Mm-hmm.
He speaks to them. He
Mm-hmm.
brings them back. But we got to get out of the way so that he can do what he needs to do.
Yeah. Um, are there mm, signs that we should be looking for when we are getting ready to compromise our own mental and physical health, trying to be a helper? Are there things that we should be looking for?
Well, this is going to sound crazy. It's called know yourself.
Okay.
When you start acting contrary to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not able to make or maintain healthy boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
you're crossing over into that place. That's the first red flag. Wait a minute. I would not put up with this if it were anybody else. So you have
Mm.
to ask yourself, well,
Mm-hmm.
if I would not put up with it with anybody else, then why would I put up with it just because of DNA?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do that with all kind of addictions because believe it or not, some people are addicted to church. They're not addicted to the Lord.
Ooh.
They're not addicted to the gospel. They
Ooh.
just addicted to the church, right? And so you have to be able to begin to look at that too. Am I compromising what I know is a healthy boundary because you got a fish and a cross? If I
Oh.
would not tolerate that any other way,
Mm-hmm.
what is it about me that'll tolerate it because you share DNA with me? Why would
Mm-hmm.
I tolerate it because you wear a collar and a cross? Right?
Ooh,
And
say
so
more about that
that
though.
is your
What is that,
first step.
Dr. Patty? What does being addicted to the church, what might that look like?
It looks like being like every other addict. You know, I'm gonna tell you, give a testimony. We had one lady that the Lord brought in. I mean, she came in our church, toe up,
Mm-hmm.
walked straight up to the altar and said, I need help. And I was like, you sure do. And as she got clean and sober, she had a cross addiction, and it was church. And what happened was
Um,
being in the church
mhm.
setting, it released the same endorphins in her brain that crack did. And so what happened was church was a temporary high.
Mhm.
And when she came down, she would fiend and she would need it some more, right? So she wanted us to have service 7 nights a week and 7 days a week and
Mhm.
midday service. So she could get, and we had to tell her, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is not your love of God. This is you meeting another chemical dependency in your
Hmm.
brain.
Mm.
And then some of us are addicted to the church because we were super hyperactive in
Mhm.
our before Christ life.
Mhm.
And we aren't used to being still and knowing that He is God. So we
Mhm.
have to bounce from church to church to church, from service to service to service, because that's the same thing we used to do on Friday night, right? When we went from club to club to club, and on
Ooh.
Saturday from club to club to club. It's just that now you're doing it in a building that's dedicated to the Lord. It's not a heart change and it's not a mind change. And so when we deal with addiction, sometimes we have to realize also that we're dealing with what's called the dry drunk syndrome. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you heard about that. And dry
Mm-mm.
drunk has nothing to do with alcohol, it has to do with all chemical dependency. And so what happens is people become abstinent and think they're okay. But
Mhm.
abstinence and recovery are not the same thing.
Mhm.
People who are abstinent, they don't use because of the penalty assigned to it, right?
Mhm.
If you use, you're going to have to go to jail. If you
Right.
use, I'm kicking you out the house and you're not going to be with the kids anymore, anything like that. But if they could use and not have a consequence, they would use. That's abstinent. Recovery is, I have realized that that way of doing things and that way of being is not right, and I
Mhm.
have to learn how to process different. My choices, my peer group, the people I'm around, they have to be different. I have to make a change. And so now I don't have addict thinking, I have recovery thinking. and
Hmm.
and I have the opportunity to use, but I choose not to because it's not a part of who I am anymore. But when we translate this over to these people who are addicted to church, right? I really
Mm-hmm.
want to club. I really want to party. I really want to have that high. But
Mm-hmm.
so what I do is I bring it into the church and I kind of turn the church into the club, right? Because now I need the strobe light, I need the dry ice, I need all of
Ooh.
this going on in there. And it's because I know if they see me down at Club 54, they're going to question my salvation. But if
Mm-hmm.
I just party in here and put Jesus on it, it's going to be okay. And so we have to understand that recovery is true salvation. I have
Mm-hmm.
become a new creature. The old things have passed away. Everything became new. And if I have the opportunity to be in your joy night, I'm going to choose not to
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's too much like before the cross. And so these are just a couple of ways. That could be a whole different podcast about the church as an addiction.
Yes, it could.
Yeah. And I know we got more to cover. Don't get me started, girl. Don't get me started.
I was not expecting you to go that way, but I'm glad you did because what you said makes absolute sense. If you were used to being out there, here, there, and everywhere all the time, just because you get saved, that aspect of your personality is not going to change until somebody brings it to your attention, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Now, I probably jumped the gun a little bit, so I want to backpedal just a little bit. I want to talk about how to know when this relationship, whether it's with a family member or a friend or a romantic relationship, whatever it is, how can we tell when this thing has gotten too toxic and we need to step back? What are some things we need to look at?
Well, I would say this: if it's gotten
Mhm.
too toxic and you need to step back, you're already in too deep.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
let's look at when things began
Okay.
getting toxic.
Okay.
Recognizing the red flags.
Mhm.
And the very first one, and I know it keeps coming back to the same thing,
Mhm.
but when your boundaries are compromised,
Mhm.
that's the first red flag. Anybody that would require of you what they're not willing to give to you is
Mhm.
toxic.
Ooh, 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 wait a minute. Say that again, Dr. Patty. Say that again.
Anybody that will not give to you
Mhm.
what they require from you
Is
is
toxic.
toxic.
Okay.
So
That's
if
good.
if I want you speaking to me with respect,
Mhm.
but I speak to you like you yesterday's trash,
Mm.
I already know this relationship is starting to get toxic.
Mhm.
If I'm drained every time I have a conversation with you,
Mhm.
we're going deeper into a level of toxicity.
Okay.
If I have to take that deep breath and ask the Lord to help me before I answer a phone when I see your name on it,
Mm.
I realize that's toxicity. And I'm just getting deeper and deeper
Mhm.
in it. You
Mhm.
know, when I look at myself and don't like what I see because of my interactions with you, it's too toxic.
Mhm.
And I've lost myself.
Mhm.
And so now I can't make the decisions that I need to make to be healthy for me. And I'm gonna have to step back a minute and get back realigned with who I am. So it's
Right.
stages. It's by the time you say, snaps, I'm in a toxic relationship, you have missed about 10, 11 different red flags to tell you that you are
Ooh.
losing yourself in this.
Mm.
And because we don't pay attention to those things, we have to wait until we get in so deep that we need
Mhm.
CPR, so to speak,
Mhm.
as opposed to the gentle voice that's speaking to you.
And if you're someone who doesn't have boundaries, then you're not going to recognize when boundaries are being crossed because you don't even have them. So,
And the
what does
same
it look
thing is
like
if
to
you,
develop boundaries around relationships? What does that mean?
so the first thing we have to do is talk about healthy boundaries.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because if you have rigid boundaries,
Mhm.
that's unhealthy,
Mhm.
just like having no boundaries. And
Okay.
so we've got to, and that's what happens, believe it or not. A lot of people that experience trauma or they escape from toxicity,
Mhm.
they develop extra firm, immovable boundaries. Period.
Mhm.
This is me,
Mhm.
this is my truth, this is where I am. But it shuts off um, relating one to another and
Mhm.
respecting other people's boundaries. When
Mhm.
you have really firm and strict boundaries, that means that you have lost the ability to respect other people's boundaries.
Hmm.
Is what, because you're just so busy working on your boundaries that you
Mhm.
can't
Mhm.
see somebody else. And so the first thing we would have to do if a person does not have boundaries is we have
Mhm.
to teach them about boundaries. And the first thing that happens is snaps. This is a great, this is a wonderful protective agency. This is a coping strategy. This is a defense mechanism. I love it. And they start walling themselves into these unrealistic, toxic boundaries,
Yeah.
right? So then you have to start breaking some stuff down and say, no, we want you to have boundaries, but we
Mhm.
don't want you to go all the way to the other side because that's
Mhm.
just as dysfunctional as having no boundaries at all,
Okay.
right? And so we,
Okay.
we need to teach about boundaries. And you know who's not good to teach about boundaries?
Hmm.
And I guess your viewer audience is going to get upset, but the one that just ran from the domestic violence situation, that's
Mm.
not the one to teach you about boundaries because their boundaries are going to be too rigid and they're still dysfunctional and they're still unhealthy. They just
Mhm.
got strong enough to get out, right?
Right.
The
Right.
one that is just finishing being clean and sober and they're trying to figure out how to live life on life's terms without their substance, they
Mhm.
don't have appropriate boundaries. Appropriate boundaries can only be taught by people who have and maintain appropriate boundaries.
Right.
And that's why you can't just give that part of yourself to anybody.
Mhm.
You've got to be savvy enough to know they about as unhealthy as I am. It's just the other side of the coin.
Right.
And I need
So
somebody to walk and help me to do that.
so boundaries don't necessarily have to be a wall. They can be a gate.
Right. They're not
Right.
supposed, they should
Not
never be a
shouldn't be a
wall.
wall. Mhm. Okay. I
Right.
think we get that mixed up.
Because a wall, believe it or not, the wall keeps other people from getting to you,
Mhm.
but they also keep you from getting to other people.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can be part of a community in a healthy way, but still have boundaries.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Okay. I don't think most people know that. I think most
And
people think their
some
boundaries
of
are
us have to say, like this is not working for me.
right. Yeah.
That's okay if that's what you want to do,
Mhm.
but that's not what we're going to do.
Mhm.
That I'm going to do. I have a real healthy boundary when it comes to smoking, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm like, you have the right to puff on your cigarettes, but you do not have a right to put your toxic carbon monoxide in my lungs.
Mhm.
These are my lungs. If you want to smoke, you need to go outside around the corner somewhere where the wind's not blowing my way
Mhm.
to put it
Mhm.
in my lungs, period.
Mhm.
Or like we do not have ashtrays in our house, and we have relatives that smoke like chimneys, right? And I'm
Mhm.
like, you know where you coming when you come over here. There's no ashtrays because you're not allowed to smoke in our house or on our property.
Mhm.
Love you, will hug you, spend time with you. You my family. I love you, but you're not bringing that around me, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
boundaries also work this because I got friends that still haven't come to the Lord, and I've been saved for 48 years, right?
Mhm.
I know what you're doing because I used to do it with you. So when you get ready to start, that's my time to say it was nice visiting you. It's
Mhm.
time for me to go. Well, I thought
Mhm.
you came here to be in the reunion. No, no, we had a good time. Now it's time for me to go. Just like I know who you are, you know who I am. And
Mhm.
the wonderful thing about our boundaries are we can respect one another's boundaries.
Mhm.
And you always know that you're in a dysfunctional relationship or a toxic system
Mhm.
when your boundaries cannot be respected or you cannot respect other people's boundaries.
So a boundary can be something as simple as saying that doesn't work for me.
Yes,
It can be
that's
that simple.
that's simple. That just doesn't work for me. That's not who I am.
Yeah. So why, and this is especially true for a lot of women. We have a hard time with boundaries. Uh because we have a hard time, first of all, knowing in ourselves what doesn't work for us. We haven't been taught to be able to articulate what doesn't work for us. We've been taught to be the good girls who go along with the program, don't cause trouble, don't rock the boat. And so it's more difficult, I think, for women to set boundaries. I don't know about men because I'm not a man, but I know in my own life as a woman, it was very difficult for me to set boundaries, especially before I really knew, understand, honored, and walked in my worth. I did not have boundaries. I didn't even know what that meant. So for a lot of women, just simply saying that doesn't work for me is really uncomfortable and it's hard to do.
So I see a comment here. That's still a kind of unhealthy boundary, but we're not
Mhm,
going to go into therapy on it, right?
mhm,
So I would say this about women to stay where we are because I
mhm,
actually do it with fairy tales. I usually these little fairy tales. I sit down and I talk to men and women and show them the dysfunction that these fairy tales have taught women,
mhm,
right? And
mhm,
then I always end it and say, but of course, I'm Mary Poppins, right? I only do things my way and I don't care
mhm,
about your way. And that's just it. Um, but realistically speaking, generationally, these boundaries were not kept and they were not taught.
mhm,
And so, extending grace, I have to realize that if my mother did not know how to protect herself,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
she did not know how to have appropriate boundaries, she
Mhm.
was powerless to teach it to me.
Right.
And the reason she didn't know it is because her mother
Right.
didn't know
Mhm,
it. And
mhm,
you don't know what you don't know
mhm,
until you know it. Now, culturally, whether we want to say it or not, a part of breaking our will was to take our boundaries from us
mhm,
when they would take our husbands and stud them out.
mhm,
And they would take our children as soon as they were born and they would sell them.
mhm,
And they would come in and violate us at
mhm,
will because they wanted to. And what happened was we developed a surviving mechanism
mhm,
that says, what I'm going to do, believe it or not, is I'm going to dissociate. I'm not
mhm,
going to have a boundary. I'm going to dissociate. I'm just going to step out of the experience for a while until I can step back in my reality a little bit.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so that became a mindset that was top down. And so women are wonderful at stepping out of what's going on with them
mhm,
until they can deal with it again. And then they step back in or to step
mm,
away from the unpleasant things
mhm,
and just live in la la land where
mhm.
everything is comfortable and everything is fine.
So you're
And
talking about stepping away mentally.
yes,
Mhm,
and that's a boundary.
mhm,
That becomes the coping mechanism that because you cannot say no. I taught my daughter no is not a curse word.
mhm.
You know, I
Yeah.
say it all the time. And it's
Mhm.
not my fault that you didn't believe my no. You know, so they was having this event and I was going out of town to do something. This is before my husband started the church and they called me and they said, we need you to make 2 loaves of sandwiches. I said, no, not gonna do that. Like that. And then I'm off getting ready to, they were actually literally introducing me.
Mhm.
And the call came and said, your sandwiches aren't here. And I said, but I told you I wasn't going to do that. So I guess you're heading in the Subway, Safeway, or somewhere and get some sandwiches. Because if I tell you no, they said, you were serious? I was like, yes, I was very serious. And I didn't feel bad. Listen, I slept at night. I didn't
I'm
feel
sure you
bad.
did. I know you
because
did.
you ignoring my no doesn't
Yeah.
change my no.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we don't teach the power of. Okay, it is not, I have a situation right now. So I have told this person several
Mm-hmm.
times, you will not speak to me disrespectfully.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, you will not have access to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just forgot it and they spoke in a way that was not acceptable to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wanted to come in and talk to me like nothing happened. And I said, what you need to do is turn around and go right back where you were, because you have no access to me until I decide you can have access to me. And that is when you prove to me that you know how to talk to me
Mm-hmm.
correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Turned my light out, laid down in the bed, and I slept good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so you have to be able to say that, and here we go, because we about to change our trajectory, right? And
Mm-hmm.
not feel guilty about it.
Yeah, that was my next question. Listen, I learned in my 50s that if you put a period after the word no, that makes it a complete sentence. You ain't got to say nothing else. But it took me into my 50s to get that. I'll be 58 in a couple months. So if you can get it, if you are in your 20s and you're watching right now and you can get this now, you will save yourself a whole lot of heartache. If you can hear what Dr. Patty is saying, it is okay to say no. And saying no is a boundary.
Yes.
Now,
And
if somebody
it's
tries to
okay.
come back and they try to insist on you doing what they asked you to do that you just said no to, that is disrespect. It took me into my 50s to learn that too, Dr. Patty.
We have to empower,
Mm-hmm.
and not just our young girls, but guess what? We got to empower our boys too.
Yes, yes.
But this the girl conversation, so let's just
Mhm.
deal with it. Um, we also have got to get to a place where we don't allow. See, I can't help it. I know it's gonna be a whole conversation when I get off
Mhm.
of here.
Mhm.
I'm tired of the spiritual abuse.
Mm.
Abuse is abuse is abuse.
Mhm.
Again, I'm gonna say it again. Your
Mhm.
color and your cross does not change it from abuse.
Okay.
And if I say this doesn't work, see, because that's mine. This isn't working for me.
Mhm.
Because I know that scripture said this. If you come in with, well, this is my title and this is who I am, and you're
Mhm.
disrespectful and you're out of obedience to the Lord,
Mhm.
no, that's the same abusiveness that
Mhm.
girls find themselves in with these
Mhm.
guys that they get with,
Yes.
right? It's the
Woo!
same thing. It's the same
Mm.
language. It's the same posture. It's the
Mhm.
same behavior. And I just need the people watching to understand that if it's not okay for Johnny on the corner, it's
Mhm.
not okay for Pastor Johnny in the pulpit,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
because we cannot be selective with abuse.
That's right.
Abuse is abuse is abuse, and it comes to take away from us. That's
Mhm.
not disobedience. Listen, Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ.
Mhm.
Christ didn't slap nobody up beside the head. He did not have a bully pulpit where he got up and made you feel like you was 2 inches tall
Mhm.
because you wasn't fighting the game. He didn't
Mhm.
tell you that you had to go without your lights so that you can make their car payment. He didn't do all of that. And if we're not going to do it for Slick Willie out on the street, quit doing it for the Slick Willie that put on a cross.
Not Slick Willie.
Hey, we have to teach our people that abuse is abuse in all settings,
Mhm. Yes.
not
Yes.
selective settings. Because
Mhm.
what happens is a lot of women, they leave abusive relationships
Mhm.
in the world and they fall into abusive relationships in the church. Do
Mhm.
you know why? Because abuse is what they are used to.
Mhm.
And perpetrators can always spot a victim.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mhm.
And so this is why this conversation is necessary.
Mm-hmm. So, before we run out of time, I want to give the women watching some practical, intentional steps that they can take. First of all, to start creating boundaries. But then those of you that have boundaries, but depending on who the disrespect is coming from, you might dishonor your own boundaries because it's your daddy or it's your brother or it's your boyfriend or it's your husband or it's your boss at work or whoever it might be. Let's talk to the women, first of all, who haven't quite learned how to create boundaries. What's some first steps they can take? Other than
Learning,
I heard you say just being just saying no is a boundary.
it's called learning who you are.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that don't have any boundaries, it's because you have no identity.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so when you understand who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you understand now what's acceptable and what's not acceptable concerning you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first step for building boundaries. Listen, we have a culture that is so good at telling you what you are not,
Mm-hmm.
that they haven't told you what you are. They
Mm. Oh,
haven't
that's
told
good.
you who you are. And we have
Mm.
a whole lot of women that are performance based,
Mm-hmm.
and they think that what they do is who they are. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It's just the hat that you wear. It's just what you do. And so I'm really pushing in 2026 for my sisters all over the world to discover who you are.
Yeah.
Because when you
Amen.
know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
then you know what's acceptable for you and what's not. And you're
Mm.
not creating a boundary off of a knee jerk reaction to what
Mm-hmm.
happened to
Mm-hmm.
you so
Mm-hmm.
that it never happens again.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating a boundary because this is who I am,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Princess Kate does not have to be told that she's the princess.
Mm-hmm.
And she has no problems with saying, this behavior is not acceptable for me
Mm-hmm.
because of who I am.
Right.
And so when you don't actually know who you are, you don't know what is acceptable and what's not. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason I'm using that is because it's not what I don't like, it's
Mm-hmm.
what is acceptable.
And
There are
what is
some
not?
things that are
Mm-hmm.
acceptable that I just do not like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's acceptable
Ooh, that's a
because
good way to look at that.
it helps
There
to
are
bring
things
it
that are
up.
acceptable. I just don't like it.
Right.
Oh, that was good.
And so
Okay,
that's the
go ahead.
difference. And so for
Mm-hmm.
those that don't have boundaries, learn who you are.
Yeah.
And then based off of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
that is how we determine what's acceptable and what's not. And that is how we build healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Those that have boundaries and they're a little off, you might have to knock the wall down and start rebuilding, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to go and examine the rubbish, and you got to take out the trash, and you got to
Mm-hmm.
throw away the knee jerk reactions, and you got to throw away. If you built a boundary out of a reflex,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a healthy boundary.
Right.
The boundary should not be based off of what someone else has done. It should be based off of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Very good. Very good. Oh my gosh, we got to bring you back. We got to
Anytime,
bring you
girl.
back. We bringing you back for Women's Mental Health Month or something.
Hey.
Uh, yeah, we definitely gonna bring you back. Now, I want to ask you this question before
Mhm.
we go. Is it normal to grieve a relationship that ends up being one that you have to facilitate from a distance? Is
Yes.
that grief that you feel, is it normal? And how do you process that?
So this is gonna sound funny.
Mhm.
You know Kubler-Ross's stages of grief and loss,
No, but I know
right?
you're gonna tell me. Mhm.
So, it's like there are stages. First is the disbelief or
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
denial. I don't
Mhm,
believe that or whatever. Then we go to the bargaining, right? Well, if you
mhm,
would just
mhm,
change this, if you would just do that. Then we get to the anger. Oh, I'm just so angry that this happened. And then you come to acceptance. You know what? This is what it is. This is who it is. And this is what it is. Everything is a relationship. This is what people don't understand. We are relational people. Your job becomes a form of a relationship, right? The people in your church become a form of a relationship. Everything you do is just relationships. So when it's gone, that's a death. That's a death or ending. I want to use that. I don't say it's an ending of what that is. So we have to go through the stages of grief and loss. Because that's why it's called the stages of grief and loss, right? And so ladies, please hear me. Don't feel bad because you're going through the stages of grief and loss. That relationship has died. Even if it's resuscitated, it won't be what it was because you're coming into who you are. And so now it's going to be different. But what was is no more. And what shall be is coming, right? So you can't walk into your new if you're stuck in your old. So grieve it and move forward, right? Don't let yourself refuse to grieve it because you'll get stuck and you'll be there.
Now I want to go back to something Tasha May said because she already know you're gonna come for her on this. She already said, First Lady, don't come for me. This is what she said right here. She said, my boundary, if it disrupts my peace, it doesn't work for me. But you said that may not be the way you need to handle things. Go ahead.
Because that's not healthy. First of all, that's egocentric, right? And God didn't call us to be egocentric. This is called, my boundary is all about me. It's not about who I am. It's all about me. And at some time, our peace has to be disrupted, right? Listen, if our peace never got disrupted, the civil rights movement would have never took place.
All right.
If our peace never got disrupted, right? We'd never have women reproductive rights. If our peace never got disrupted, we'd never intercede for other people. Sometimes people will say some things, and in my words, it's like, oh, I could just bite the head off of a nail. And then God says, but I need you to go in and rescue them. And now you work in my nerves because I'm thinking about you. I'm diagnosing you. I'm treatment planning you. I'm trying not to be bothered with you. And I can't have no peace because God said I got to go rescue you. And that's not just my First Lady life. That's not just my evangelist life. But my modality of care as a psychologist is Gestalt therapy, right? And one of the things about that is called the here and now. And one of those things, as I would say for Step of Faith, I always say, come, put your hand in mine. And together we will do what you cannot do by yourself. Because a part of Gestalt therapy is to walk into the middle of the chaos a person is in and walk them out. But if you never allow your peace to be disturbed, or if every time your peace is disturbed, then you are not really relating. You're all about yourself. And if it doesn't work, if it's just too much for my brain, I don't want to be bothered with it. And sometimes our peace has to be disturbed because we have stinking thinking. And what we're thinking is not healthy. It's dysfunctional. But because you said, well, you just disturbed my peace, I need to agitate you. Scripture said, see then that you provoke one another to love and good works. That means I'm going to disturb your peace to get you out of what you in into what you need to be into. And so that's why sometimes it is acceptable for your peace to be disturbed.
Well, Tasha May has a follow-up question. And this your first lady, so you know what you see is what you gonna get. So I'm gonna let her answer your question, Tasha May. She got
If
a
you
follow-up question.
if you've lived your life in so much chaos and extremes that when you finally found peace by eliminating people and things and healing, you don't want to be disrupted from it. You never know that you're healed. Okay, ooh. You never really know that you're
Mhm,
delivered. And you never really know that you're healed until you face that same situation and it doesn't have the same effect on you.
mhm,
But if you never allow yourself to face that situation again, you really don't know if you've gotten the power over it or not. You don't know if it
mm,
still has the power over you. You
mhm,
just know that it's not touching me no more.
mhm. That's
And
a
that's
good way
the
to look at it.
difference between being abstinent and being in recovery.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
know who you are. I know you chaotic. I know everything you say out your mouth is going to have a negative connotation. I
mhm,
know everything that you do is going to be wounded because you are harsh of speech.
mhm.
But guess what? I can have dinner with you now and not be broken when I get up from the table
Mm,
because
mhm.
I have now really healed and I have really moved on. And I can sit in the middle of your chaos and it not touch me.
And that's when
And
you know.
there's that's when you know. Because if
Mhm,
you never go there,
mhm,
then you really don't know. You just know that you've never been around it. So
mhm,
not being around it is not the same thing as grown through it
mhm,
or been
mhm,
around it and it did not
mhm,
touch you.
mhm. Okay, well,
So many
she
people
got it.
think that they so many people think they heal. So many people think they got it. So many people think
Yeah,
they did it. And then they walk into a situation and then they're wounded again. That's
yeah,
because you
yeah,
didn't. You just stayed, you avoided it.
right.
Avoidance is not healing, and
Mhm.
avoidance is not healthy.
Woo, woo. You
And
are the subject matter expert tonight.
and if I put it this way in my last thing, because I know you got a time schedule, how can God prepare a table for you in the presence of your enemy if you never go into the presence of your enemy?
It don't work that way. It won't work that way. That is, I just had the biggest epiphany that I've had in quite some time. How do you know you've been healed from it if you avoid it? You won't know until you can be in the midst of it and still have the peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yes.
That is so good.
Yes.
Woo. We bringing you back, Dr. Patty. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get you scheduled for later on in the year. I'm gonna send you some dates
And I'm going to
tomorrow
send those dates. This is over and make sure.
so we can get you scheduled to come back because there is so much that I want to talk to you about
Okay.
in terms of having to do with issues that women go through that we don't always have the words for. We can't always articulate what it
Yeah.
is that's making us sad or making us mad or causing us confusion or making us feel like we don't have the right to speak up or we feeling like we don't have a voice. There's so many different reasons for that. And I want to talk to you about that. So we are
Okay.
definitely going to bring you back.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Now you got so much love in this chat. I'm telling you. Who is this? Tasha May said, look, I love my first lady. I know she gonna call me on the carpet. That's why I love her. I love it. Who is this?
Oh, that's my son,
Oh, it's
Michael,
Michael.
Elder
So
Michael. He
basically,
preached
bro.
a word today, Lord Jesus.
Yes. If you never encounter it again, you will never know that you've grown from it. That's right. That's right. That makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. Thank you so much for saying that. I want to give you the last word, but I want you to speak to the young women who might be watching, the ones in their teens and in their 20s.
Oh, yes.
Do you have a word for them?
So
Mhm,
don't buy the hype, right? Don't look for someone else to complete you.
mhm,
Be complete before you start relating to anyone else. Fractions subtract, whole numbers add.
Mm.
If you are not whole, you will subtract from every relationship that you are in. And
My
you will
God.
come into that relationship with a deficit. If you get a relationship with someone who's not whole, they subtract from the relationship and they take from you because fractions subtract, whole adds, and
Mhm.
become who you are so that you don't allow someone else to determine who you are.
Mhm.
Don't try to please someone so much that you lose yourself. And if you're in your teens, learn yourself. You are just becoming the woman that God is creating you to be. If you are a teenager, you are just if you're in your 20s, you're launching into becoming. You're still in that phase that's called becoming.
Mhm.
So focus on becoming, not doing you. When you go, I'm doing me. No,
Mm.
that's dysfunctional.
Mhm.
Becoming. These things are starting to be real to me that I was individually made on purpose, for a purpose, filled with purpose. There's the most amazing plan
Mhm.
waiting for you right here. But it's the you that you have to be. Abram was given a promise, but it did not come into fruition until he was Abraham.
Mm.
He had to grow into the promise. There's a wonderful life waiting for you. Love yourself enough to grow into it before you allow it to be contaminated by anything else, so that your oil is pure and you are strong and you are healthy, and then you're ready to relate.
Whew. And that is the last word from Dr. Patty. Thank you so much. I'm trying to see. Tamra Davis said, Amen, First Lady. Yes. Sherry Wallace, the peace and freedom that you feel when you realize for real that you have been delivered is so wonderful and overwhelming and empowering. Amen.
Man,
I agree 100%. Um, and Michael said, God only made one you. Learn that you that God made and make it count. Yes.
yes,
I love to hear a man's voice in
yes.
the chat. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Listen, we got some applause for you. We got to applaud Dr. Patty because listen, you came in here and not only gave us a whole lecture on the psychology of creating boundaries, but you turned around and gave us a math lesson too. So I'm just so thankful for you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I cannot wait to bring you back later
Well,
this
thank you
year.
for having me, and we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you. God bless you. Take care.
I kiss you. Bye.
Good night. Woo! Y'all, my heart is full. I don't know about you, but that's probably one of the best conversations I've had in a very, very long time. And I mean it when I say we are bringing Dr. Patty back. There's so much that I want to talk to her about in terms of, and when it comes to some of the things that women go through that we just don't talk about. We just kind of move through life completely numb to life, completely numb to life, thinking nobody is going to understand how I feel or what I'm going through or what's being done to me or what's being said to me. I can't say anything. I'm not allowed to have a voice, and nobody wants to hear what I have to say anyway. There are so many women who feel that way. And I think that Dr. Patty and I can begin to unpack where some of those emotions come from, the origin of those emotions, and then what the process looks like to begin to heal those kinds of emotions. So she will be back later this year before the end of the Girl Talk Sunday season. So I want to thank all of you for being with me tonight. Thank you so much. It's always good to be with you. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I will be back again in March. I've got some family stuff going on, and so we won't have another show in February, but I will be back in March with another episode of the Girl Talk Sunday podcast. In addition, every Friday is Fridays by the Fire with me, Sandi BestLife Jones, and that's live on Facebook and YouTube, 8 p.m. every single Friday. So don't miss it. Again, thank you for being with us tonight. God bless you. I love you. Good night.